All right, guys, so here's an insane self-working card trick that literally anybody can do, and you can do it with a borrowed deck. There's no setup, and the spectator can shuffle these as many times as they want. So what you do is you hand them the cards and say, just take a few off the top, not too many because we haven't got all day, and tell them to count them in secret. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Say, put those in your pocket, and then what you're going to do, if you took 4 cards, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, and remember the 4th card. But before you do, give these a quick little shuffle. So obviously they've got 9 there, so they're going to count in secret. They don't do this out loud. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember the 9th card, all right? And they can put a few more onto the pile if they want to, just like so. And then you place those back, you get the cards from their pocket, place them on top, and you can instantly tell them what card they are thinking of just by doing this. So no, it's none of those, none of those, no. I have a feeling about this card here, and you can tell them straight away that that's their card every single time. The method's crazy. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it right now. All right, guys, so here's the explanation to this insane self-working card trick. Now, it's the Simon Aronson trick, and if you know who this guy is, you know he's an absolute freak, and he comes out with some, amazing stuff. So what you do is there's no setup at all. These can be shuffled by the spectator. They can take off as many cards as they want from the top. And so let's assume they take 6. You don't know how many they've got. Then what you do is you say, look, you're going to count, say if you took 3 cards, you're going to go 1, 2, and remember the 3rd card. But before we do so, you give them a shuffle, and then obviously they've got 6 here, so they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and remember the 6th card. And what you're doing here is you're actually counting in your mind how many cards they put on the table, because they can still deal some more on top and say, look, just deal some more on top if you want to. And let's say they put a few more. So we know there's 9 cards on the table. The method is just to plus 1. In your mind, just add an additional card. And so that brings us to 10. These go on top. These go back on top. So you say, take these from your pocket, put them on top. And you know now, if you count to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, their card will be at the 10th position, okay, or whatever number that they took.
Okay, I want to quickly go through a short mathematical explanation of the effect that Steve showed, which may help many people not only understand the effect, but be able to perform it more effectively. And then after I go through this, I'm going to show you another way to present this result that carries, I think, a much greater punch. And it's an easier way to perform the mechanics of the procedure and keep track of where you are. Okay, so hang in there to the end because I'm going to show you an alternate presentation that I think is more impactful. Okay, so what we did was we started with a deck. Now I'm using these B brackets, these square brackets. This is something that Norman Gilbreth did to help explain certain mathematical card effects. So it's a very effective way of focusing your attention on the essentials of what's going on so that you can see why something will always work out a certain way. Okay, so we begin with a deck of 52 cards, and then we have the spectator cut any number of cards. In the second half of the video I just showed, Steve had the spectator cut 6 cards, so you can think of X as 6 right here. And then from there, from the rest, now the ... just represents the rest of the cards in the deck. So it would be 52 minus 6 cards being represented here. But the quantity here is not really important for what we'll be doing. So from these cards, the spectator deals to the table 6 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they remember the identity of the 6th card. Now I've notated it with this little label here, a 1 with an asterisk. I believe in the presentation it was the King of Clubs. We're talking about the second half of the presentation by Steve. So it was King of Clubs, the spectator's remembering, and then you had the remaining portion of the deck over here. And then Steve explains, well, the spectator's free to deal from here additional cards on top of their noted card. And so why don't we say the additional cards we'll call Y, and in his video it was 3 cards. So he dealt an additional 3 cards on top of the spectator's noted card, King of Clubs, okay? And then all of these cards were set on top of the ones over here. Now, in some way, suppressing all of this information, how many cards are below certain cards, because it won't matter to us. Okay, so that's what the ... is denoting. Okay, so that brings us right here. So the situation we're in is X cards, or 6 cards were cut. Y cards, or 3 cards, were set on top of the King of Clubs. And then the cut cards are set on top of the Y cards just dealt. So we'll have X, comma Y, or in other words, X plus Y cards. Here it would be 6 plus 3 is 9. We'd have 9 cards above the spectator's card, the King of Clubs. And so the rule he gave was to know the location of the spectator's noted card, you just take X plus Y, which is 9, and then add 1 to it. So you just do a plus 1, as he phrased it. And so the spectator's card is going to be in the 10th position, which happened in the video just shown. Now, the challenge with performing it this way is the performer will have to know both the value of the number of cut cards X and the value of the number of additional cards dealt on top of their noted card. So in other words, Y. So both quantities, X and Y, would have to be known to really perform it the way shown in the video. And that can be a bit tricky to determine the value of those in a way that's non-obvious. Okay, I'm going to show you another way to perform this underlying effect, but you will not need to know the precise value of X or Y to pull it off. And it really will look like an absolute miracle to the spectator. Okay, so what you do is you have the performer cut any number of cards that they like, okay, just as before. We can keep it the same if you like. Maybe they cut 6 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you as the performer do not need to know the number of cards here. You will not need to know that. That's what's nice about this different way of carrying out this effect. Okay, so they've cut a number of cards. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to show the spectator the cards in each position. Position 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we get to position 6, which is the number of cards they cut, they need to remember the identity of the card in the 6th position. Okay, but you're going to continue showing cards 7, 8, 9, 10 because you're not sure exactly the number of cards they cut. But of course, you will need to show enough cards that the position of their special card is arrived at, determined by how many cards they cut. Okay, so for example, here we would be safe to show them, let's say, 13 cards, because surely if you look at this packet here, it's less than 13 cards. Okay, so you know it's at least as big as this. Okay, so this is card 1. Show them that. It's not theirs. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is the card in the 6th position, determined by the number of cards they cut. Now we don't know that, but we, as we're showing these, we're asking them to remember the card at their special position, determined by the number of cards they cut. So we'll go ahead and just put it face up so we can see it. But we don't know that that's theirs. And so you say 7, this is the 8th card, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, let's say. Okay, so 13's plenty here. Okay, and then you just go through and do the same thing that we did before. You just take their cut cards, set them on top, and for a very similar reason to what I've shown here, their card is guaranteed to be in position 13 plus 1. So remember, I showed them 13 cards. If you just add 1 to that number, you will land on their card every time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then the next card is guaranteed to be theirs. And as far as they know, you know nothing. You have no idea how many cards they cut or even how many additional cards were set on top of their remembered card. You don't know anything, but yet you're able to locate their card with perfect accuracy. Okay, so I think that's a nicer way to carry out this routine. Because you don't need to know as much information, but yet you seem to pull off an impossible effect with virtually zero information. Okay, so thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Mathemagic channel.